Non, moi c'est Jacques Guillaume.
Hello, my name is Marie-Danielle Guillaume.
Moi invite au bouton de Solstice Realty tous les samedis de 11h à midi. Côté n'a répondre toutes questions sur real estate pour à bord de 1530 AM Radio Puissance Inter.
We invite you to listen to the Solstice Realty radio show every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Call us with questions at 904-786-2400. And for more information, call us or text us at 904-386-1726 or call the office at 904-886-3100.
Ou capable toujours les radios à 904-786-2400. Et pour plus d'informations, ou capable toujours contacter nous dans 904-386-1726 ou bien capable les office là dans 904-886-3100. Ou capable toujours contacter n'importe agent Solstice Realty.
And if you did not get a chance to listen to the Solstice Realty radio show, you may listen to the program on YouTube by searching Solstice Realty.
Ça fait longtemps non pas ouais comment bagaille.
Mon cher, nous là n'a frappé ça n'est fait.
Mon cher, m'a fait des marches pour nous capable venir habiter dans Floride très bientôt avec toute famille là. Est-ce que vous référez à une compagnie qui fait real estate pour aider dans le processus ça?
Bon, m'a bao Solstice Realty avec tout agent lié qui a bail bon service real estate en Haïti et en Floride. Ou ka toujours aller sur site yo qui c'est www.solsticerealty.net ou bien ka relé dans 904 886 3100.
Est-ce que son G majorité Semna, les dîmes qui ont caille dans Floride et puis tenant refusé payer. Est-ce que Solstice Realty fait pour appeler manager?
Bien sûr mon vieux, n'a loué caille là, collecter loyer chaque mois à l'heure pour majorité.
Merci en pile cousin. Eh bien, si c'est comme ça, yo caille dem vendre caille moyen dans New York tout.
Pour caille Paula, n'a cherché un agent qui vous vient lister caille là pour venir mettre li à vendre pour sans être chargé. Just faire nous connaître l'aubre.
Cousin, avant aller, maman me gen 3 caille Haïti actuellement. Yon déjà dans loyage et puis 2 l'autre yo vide. Est-ce que vous avez une compagnie qui a aidé en Haïti?
Bien sûr, nous avons service en Haïti tout. So allez sur www.solsticerealty.net et puis cliquez sur Haïti pour avoir tout argent que nous gagnons à Haïti et avec toute propriété que nous avons nous bien loué Haïti.
Solstice Realty ça ou pas gagner ou pas faire même. Mais est-ce que monsieur ça a marié mon?
Non. Solstice pas marié mon. Solstice c'est placer nous placer mon dans caille.
Mesdames et messieurs, Solstice Realty de Jacques Guillaume.
Bonjour, c'est Jacques Guillaume. Nous connaissons depuis le ça fait bang tous les samedis de 11h à midi. C'est show par là, c'est show real estate là avec Solstice Realty. Donc, monsieur Michael, excusez le jeudi du fait qu'il ne peut pas là avec nous. Mais quand même, moi gagne monsieur Ira Horn avec moi en chair et en os. Je connais un film qui t'a relé moi après show samedi dernier parce qu'il n'y a pas de rentrer dans la ligne là pour te poser des questions à monsieur Ira. Donc, je te promets que je vais mener Ira dans le show pour être capable de brûler pour poser des questions. Donc, now we are going to switch to the English side. Good morning, everyone, and I'm happy to be here with you. And, you know, at this time, that's your real estate show with Solstice Realty, and you have Jacques Guillaume here with you. And I know many of you had called me after the last interview last Saturday with Mr. Ira Horn and Mr. Rodriguez, and I know many of you could not make it through the phone line. And then I promised you that I was going to bring Mr. Ira back in the studio to answer to many of your questions. And then he's here with us this morning. And I'm going to let him do a quick introduction of himself, and then we'll go ahead and get the show started.
Good morning. My name is Ira Horn, and I'm delighted to be here with Jacques. If I can help some people, I'm glad to. I am a seasoned person in mortgage banking, and I represent Alterra Home Loans here in Jacksonville and throughout Florida. So with that, I'll give it back to Jacques.
Merci, thank you very much, Mr. Ira, et merci à tout le monde qui fait brancher. Donc, pour le programme d'aujourd'hui, nous allons faire une récapitulation sur le dernier show qui nous a fait, quand on a parlé sur I-10, Loan and then Fresh Starts. Et puis, on a parlé de différents types de loans. Et puis, on a répondu à toutes questions et tout. Donc, nous connaissons comme toujours les disclosures pour nous avant que nous rentrions d'emblée dans le show. Chose ça, les recorder et puis la publier online. Et puis, intervention de auditeurs qui ne doit pas partager point de vue de Solstice Realty avec tout argent lié avec Radio Puissance Inter. Donc, nous responsables pour information qui est publiée sur dans chose ça. Donc, avant que nous publions chose ça online, Solstice Realty gain droit pour les porter, pour les faire une série de modifications sur chose ça. Donc, n'a pas un break tout petit et puis n'a tourné tout à l'heure. Ok, mesdames et messieurs, nous sommes de retour. Donc, pour nous faire un résumé de ça, nous t'ai parlé week-end dernier. Nous t'ai gagné M. Ira Horn avec M. Genaro Rodriguez dans le show avec nous. Et puis, on t'ai parlé de ITIN Loan. Ça, c'est pour les gens qui vraiment, que communauté, well, market là, pas tellement, un produit pour eux. Donc, M. Ira de Alterra Home Loans, il vient avec un produit pour capable de venir avec un loan qui est capable de servir mon qui pas gain mon qui pas servi dans la communauté. Donc programme ça vraiment pour peu que mon il gagne 2 ans d'emploi et ensuite aussi le bagon social il gagne doit gagner ITIN que IRS bio. Et ensuite, tout, bon, si mon guest social et puis 2 ans, la travail ici, même quand il n'y a pas un green card, il n'est pas citizen. Donc, il y a un mortgage pour lui acheter une propriété à 20% down. So, last week we talked about the ITIN loan, which is a new product in the market, initiated by Alterra Home Loans. And then we have Mr. Ira Horn live with us today. And then the goal of the project is to serve those who are underserved or those who are not part of the mainstream, what we would call the mainstream for the mortgage market.
That particular loan is for immigrants who are not permanent residents of the United States, and some of them are using Social Security numbers, maybe not correctly. They have ITIN numbers. Which is individual tax identification number. So that product is for that specific segment of the population who could not have home ownership without it.
Okay. Sometimes, Mr. Ira, if I say something in English and you think I'm talking to you, just stare at me. Because if I say it in Creole, because sometimes I may think I'm talking in Creole, in English with you, and I'm talking in Creole. Just say only, Jack, come on.
Jacques, I've known you for a long time. Sometimes I can't tell the difference when you're Spanish and you're English. I mean, when you're French and you're English.
Well, I mix them sometimes. And when you're tired, it's like I deal with customers all over the world. And then one night I received an email from a customer from France. And I'm like, what did you just say?
Well, as you know, my wife is from South America, so her first language is Spanish. And what I find is sometimes we talk best to each other in text messaging so we can actually read it and have evidence of the conversation.
That's good. And then you are here with your daughter. That's beautiful. I mean, you remind me when I used to have kids. I took them wherever I Yeah. Yeah. Donc, pour tout le monde qui fait brancher ou attendre des émissions par là, émission Real Estate de Solstice Realty, et puis nous avons monsieur Ira Horn avec nous, de Alterra Home Loans. Donc, last week, we talked about the four C's, the credit, the collateral, and then, if one, I know you cannot be specific when it comes to this kind of questions because I received a question from last week. Mm-hmm. I know the question was asked where, like, I'm a U.S. citizen, but my spouse is undocumented.
Yes.
And then I think the answer was, it depends on you have to look at the profile, of course.
Of course. So the goal with any loan is to approach it, and you look at the borrower situation, and there's a progression. So you go to the best product, the best interest rate that they qualify for.
Exactly.
Some people have less than perfect credit. Some people have great credit, but there are little tweaks in each person's profile, and you try to get them the very best they qualify for.
And exactly, because if you can, if your goal is to serve the underserved, that means you are committed.
Sure.
Yeah, and then and I think the question had two phases where the person who asked the question, she called me back and said, you know what if, she has good credit, but her spouse does not. The spouse is undocumented, but she wanted to know, well, would she still have to put that 20% down? Because the only thing she said, she needs her husband's finance,
Sure.
Yeah, to be able to qualify for what they are trying to achieve. But again, the answer was, call Mr. Ira.
That's right.
Yeah, so Mr. Ira will be in a better position to answer this question. Okay, now this is not the only product that Alterra Home Loans.
No. So even though that we are 100% minority owned, and we have a commitment, like you mentioned, to serve these underserved populations, the majority of what we do is conforming, is government loans like FHA and VA. And we are a direct lender, so we do them very quickly and without something called credit overlays.
Okay.
So just to elaborate a little bit, sometimes, depending on who you're doing your loan through, they're actually using underwriters that don't work for their company.
I see.
And it goes back and forth, and there's a lot of overlays on the credit. When you deal with a direct lender, we are selling it with our best execution into the market. And by the way, I don't want to give too much needless information, but all loans are sold. We service our loans. Some loans we sell servicing, but all loans themselves are sold into securitizations.
And that's typical in the mortgage market.
It's not just typical. It must be, or any company. I don't care how big they are. If they're doing millions or billions of dollars a month, they would run out of money if they didn't sell their paper.
Exactly. So, pour nous tout qui fait brancher ou attendre des émissions Solstice Realty, moi j'ai monsieur Ira Horn avec nous. Donc, il te fait qu'à parler de loan que c'est eux-mêmes, ils prêtent comme là directement, mais après ça que mortgage ça ils vendent notre ça. Donc, et puis tout pour underwriting, c'est eux-mêmes qui fait underwriting, c'est-à-dire ils pas outsource underwriting. Yes, Mr. Ira, that is a very important point because whenever I'm working with a prospective buyer or prospective buyers, I always tell them until you cross that underwriting bridge, that's when you know you are fully qualified.
Well, and there are two stages too. So if we're running what they call a desktop underwriter, so we're going to get findings right away. What happens then? Those are the conditions. But let's say the appraisal comes back with some issues. There could be some additional conditions based on new information that comes.
Yeah.
These things happen. But typically, when you're running a desktop underwriter, what those conditions are, as long as they're met, the loan will fund.
Yes. And then that opened the door for a new question. Many times when the appraisal comes back, let's say if additional repairs are needed.
Yes. If there's deferred maintenance Or if the underwriter, not underwriter, but if the appraiser maybe had comps that were too far out or too old. These things it sometimes are it's artful. It's not an exact science, right?
Exactly, because many times, let's say if somebody is buying a house on 10 acres.
Sure.
I mean, this is not typical. Yes, so I mean, you will have to find a way to evaluate that property.
That's right.
Yeah. Yes, pour nous tout le monde qui fait branche ou attendre émission Solstice Realty, moi j'ai monsieur Ira Horn avec moi dans le studio. Et puis donc, on a parlé sur processus pour acheter, pour mortgage, surtout, ça nous parlait de underwriting, qui c'est la dernière phase, avant que le monde soit capable de close sur un cas. Donc, si vous avez une question, pas hésiter à relayer. Nous, studio a toujours ouvert. Numéro de téléphone là, pour capable de vous poser des questions, c'est 904 786 24 00. Ou du moins, si vous êtes capable de texter moi question, 904 386 17 26. Now, une puzzle que j'ai pour nous, pour amis auditeurs qui attendent l'émission, est-ce que vous gagnez une série de types que vous êtes capable de partager avec nous, comment que vous faites pour arranger crédit? Qui ça vous fait qui est des crédits que vous êtes capable de partager avec amis auditeurs? So, but for everybody who's listening to the radio, if you have any tips that you would like to share with us on how you have been, on what or how you have been doing to improve your credit, feel free to share it with us because we'll be talking about that. Okay, now let's take a short break and we'll be right back.
Mesdames et messieurs, Sautis Realty de Jacques Guillaume.
Bon, nous sommes de retour avec Monsieur Ira Horn. Okay, so I know you do other types of loans. So what are the other types of loans that you are ready to serve to the Haitian community?
Well, again, you take the individual and you compare them side by side in the loans, which is going to work best for that person in terms of the most money, the lowest rate, the lowest costs. So FHA is very, very popular for a lot of people. If you have military background, VA loans have an awful lot of benefits. USDA, high LTVs, but they're mostly for rural property. So depending on the borrower, there is a variety of products.
Okay. Well, as we know, the most common products in the market are mostly FHA.
And conforming.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah. But now, I mean, with conventional that is at 3%.
That's right. That's
yeah.
right.
And then 3.5%.
An FHA. So, if it and a lot of those barriers have to do with the individual's credit.
Sure.
And I know you want to talk about credit scores today.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of it. And what I would, and I'll let you take it from there, and I'll try to answer as best I can the questions you have.
Yeah, I mean, since you open the door for credit score, I mean, maybe we should talk about it so at least people know, well, what are some of the indicators that, those credit bureaus look at to say, what, you have a credit score of 300 or 850.
So the credit spectrum starts at 400, although I've never actually seen a 400. And it goes to 900, although I've never actually seen a 900.
Yeah.
So very typically what they call excellent, extraordinary credit is above a 720.
Okay.
Sometimes there's a break above 760. Once in a great while, you'll find somebody with scores in the 800s. But typically, if you're in the anywhere in the 700s, you're probably in good shape. If you're above 720, you're in very good shape.
And then what does that mean to the...
So years ago, we in the lending industry denied that there were even such thing as credit scores. We would see them at the bottom of credit reports, and everyone would say, no, there's no such thing as credit scores, but they existed. What it is, it's called a Fair Isaac scoring model, and it's on all three major credit repositories. They all use the model. They use it in slightly different ways, and they get each of them different information, which is why there are 3 scores for each person that vary. I want to start by saying beware of companies that want to take your money in advance to repair your credit. I'm not going to say that they're all working in bad faith. I couldn't say that. But I can tell you that a lot of those companies are bad players in the industry. And you can do basic common sense things yourself. There are things that are off the map that we know about. But these credit models, to a large degree, have layers like an onion, and they're a little close to the vest. Now, we at Alterra, we have a tool for our borrowers who come to us for a purchase or a refi. We can take their credit score and take an intuitive tool that goes over the credit score and says, if you pay this down or address this issue, these are things that are likely to have a very good effect on your credit. We obviously can't promise, but that is a free tool that we offer to our clients, and that works very, very well. The basics are pay your debts on time, go to get your free credit report. You can get one every year, and address any mistakes that are on there. One thing is that it's very difficult to turn around something that is a true derog. If you actually didn't pay a bill on time and it shows up, you have to do the right things from then on. It's very difficult to have something that's true removed.
Exactly. And that's an excellent point when it comes to credit or credit score, because your credit is your passport. Because if I were to have a credit score of 850 and I go to buy something, I said, Mr. Ira, sell me something. Versus if I were to have a credit score of 550, I'm sure that you'll charge me a higher interest rate.
That's right.
Right. So, I mean, in the long run, you save money by having a good...
Of course. So lending is a game of balancing risk. One way to augment risk is to require somebody have more money to put down. Another way to augment risk, so if you have somebody with poor credit, they're paying for their poor credit with a little higher interest rate. So we do loans down to a 580 credit score.
Okay.
Which is very good. That's our FHA product. So we have, but I'm going to tell you that somebody with a 580, without being specific, is going to pay a higher interest rate than somebody with a 720 or 660 or whatever.
But, Ira, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, a higher interest rate today
is a very low interest rate. and may I say, since you opened the door to that, let me say something that I say so often to borrowers, and it couldn't be more true. We trip over. You don't want to leave any money on the table, but people get so caught up in that interest rate number. Yeah. They will pay money that they don't need to pay to save an eighth of a point. And while you want to get a low interest rate, you don't want to leave money on the table, you want to get the best interest rate you qualify for. If you really want to save money, if you really, in black and white, want to save money, prepay a little principal. There is a rule in finance called the time value of money. Money is worth more today than tomorrow. And since you cannot be charged compounded interest on principal that you prepay, by paying a little extra and having that money go to principal, your term shortens. The cost of your money, the interest that you pay over time, decreases dramatically. And there are some very pedestrian ways that you can factor this out on your own, but the best way is to sit in front of a professional like me and have us talk to you.
And then the good thing, you don't charge them a penny.
I don't charge a penny.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, pour nous tout qui fait branche, vous attendez Monsieur Ira Horn de Alterra Home Loans qui est dans le studio aujourd'hui, en chéri en os, et puis la bonne ou un pile bon conseil sur mortgage, processus, et ça qui vient pour le tout avec comment pour ranger crédit nous, parce que crédit ou bois ici c'est passeport. And then believe it or not, Mr. Michael Paul is here with us. He just cannot miss the show. And
bonjour tout le monde.
Yeah. Yes.
Good morning, Mr. Ira.
Yeah. So, Michael, you want to introduce yourself to that?
Yes, Mr. Ira, it's a pleasure to have you here. But except that I'm not so sure that you do any commercial loans.
No, I do not do commercial loans. That is a separate segment of the industry.
All right, thank you, sir. I have more questions later when I'll come.
Yes, and that's an excellent point that you brought, Mr. Ira, when it comes to making payment toward the principal, because when you when you start paying the mortgage, you're just paying mostly interest.
That's correct.
And then if you can make, I've heard this. Like on your first month of payment, if you can pay 2 months, or let's say if you can add $100 on top of your payment, or whatever it is every month, that will certainly pay off in the long run.
Sure. So I've heard many strategies over time. As a banker, I like to base it on a term. So if you're taking out a 30-year loan and you pay it as if it were a 25 or 20 or 15-year loan, it's not, for instance, a 15-year loan is not going to double your payment, but you will be cutting 15 years of payments from that. I can tell you an interesting anecdote. Years and years ago, I had a borrower who applied actually it was just under 15% of her proceeds of her loan balance to her new loan. She didn't need all the money, so she decided on her first payment to apply just under 15%. And do you know what that did to the loan? It took a 30-year loan down to less than 15 years.
Perfect. Now, one question that I just received a text saying, how do I go about buying points, or when is it in our best interest to buy points?
Not usually, especially with interest rates this low. Yeah. Typically, it's very black and white. So you look at the money you spend and the money you save. And the same is true for refinancing, by the way. And I know that's not the question you're asking me.
Yeah.
But being in the mortgage banking business, you would think that I would encourage everybody to refinance all the time. But there are costs involved in refinancing. And, for instance, I was talking to borrowers the other day. They were trying to save $35 a month. To them, that was a lot of money, and I understand that. And I'm all in favor of saving $35 a month, too. But the loan was costing them a couple of $1,000s. So how long does it take? And, when I say a couple of $1,000s, a couple of thousand, you have tax stamps, you have intrinsic costs in refinancing a loan. So do you want to incur a cost that's going to take 10 or 15 years to make up for?
And then exactly, that's what I always ask them. You need to look at the payback period.
Yes.
So if I spend $6,000 to save $50 a month, how long will it take me to recoup that $6,000 that I'm spending?
If it doesn't make sense, you shouldn't do it. If you want to save money, first of all, if your interest rate, if you can save a substantial amount on your interest or do something that really helps you and your family, you should take a good look at it. But you shouldn't refinance a loan. You need to take a look at at all the factors and make sure that it's a makes sense arrangement for you.
Yes, I mean, there are cases where it is a must.
Absolutely.
Why? Because some people during the booming period, some people had like some 80-20 loans.
Yes.
And the 20 was a balloon, and then now 10 years period, the balloon is about to pop.
Well, that's right. And even if it recasts, it's probably not going to recast in your favor.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that is a solution to a balloon payment. That if you don't refinance it, it recasts at a higher rate or something.
Yeah.
So you should address these issues and get a responsible product.
Yeah, or sometimes they try to combine those two loans, the first one and the second, if and only if there is enough equity on the property. So if there's enough equity on the property, then they can combine. But I always tell them, look at the opportunity cost. How much are you going to spend?
Yeah.
To do this loan? And then and I know, Michael, did you say you have you
Yeah, I have a quick question for Mr. Ira. I understand I have a potential borrower. Mm-hmm. She bought her house in 2006. So then now actually she would like to refinance it and to take some cash and then to do some repairs. So is it possible? I'm not so sure if there's enough equity there.
Well, it depends. So you're right. 2006 was a very high point in the market. So I don't know if her particular house is recovered. I don't know what she put down or what she's been paying. But certainly that opportunity is possible. But we have to look at what her security is worth.
Okay. And then also, Mr. Ira, I think you go like maybe up to 75% or when you do refinancing or...
No. Depending on the product, we can go to higher loan to values. And don't forget, when you talk about he was mentioning that she wanted to do repairs. There's a rehab loan called a 203K, which we do.
FHA.
Yeah, it's an FHA product. The interest rates are very, very competitive, and it has a built-in apparatus to do rehab.
Okay. Yes. So I mean, basically, if it is primary residence, because at some point
it is primary, so
okay.
I may have a potential borrower for you, sir.
I'm all about that.
Yes. So I mean, at some point, I don't know if it was under the HARP program where they used to like 125%. Mm-hmm. I don't know if this is still around.
It's still around. It is just for conforming, just for Fannie.
Okay. Yes.
And for those out there who don't know what that means, there's many different different channels in secondary market, and the HARP program was for a very specific channel within the Fannie Mae.
And then Ira, here's the thing. We did some research. Almost 9 out of 10 homeowners do not even know what type of loans they had.
Sure.
But one thing I always tell them: if you put 20% down, you had a conventional loan.
I'm going to tell you there were some players out there who, and this was part of the problem. There are some very simple narratives about how evil subprime was.
Yes.
That is not my complete experience. They did a lot of good for a lot of people when used properly. But there were certainly originators, people who took loans, who maybe didn't do the best thing for their borrowers, did the best and easiest thing for themselves. So I can't say that all 80% loans were conforming, but certainly a lot of them were, and a lot of them should have been. And if you have that kind of headroom in terms of your equity, it certainly opens up your options.
True. Yeah, because what you said made so much sense, because I remember I had a case where somebody put nearly 30 to 40% down, and guess what interest rate they gave him? Adjusted interest rate. I'm like, holy moly.
There's a time and a place for adjustable rate interest. So if you're going on a Fresh Start program, which for those who aren't familiar with my programs, and I don't expect many of you to be, if you're 1 day out of foreclosure, 1 day out of bankruptcy, we'll do a loan. Well, it may be that an ARM is going to give you the lowest interest rate because this is a program that you're probably going to want to refinance down the road when your credit is sufficiently recovered.
Will it be like a 5-1 5?
Sure. I think available on that. I know a 7-1 is available on that. I think a 5-1 without looking.
Yeah, I mean, if you have 4 years to clean up, so I mean,
and you know that would be a strategy that I would talk to a borrower about, where an adjustable rate mortgage or ARM makes sense for them.
OK. Bon, pour nous autres qui fait brancher, donc nous avons M. Ira Horn avec nous dans l'émission Solstice Realty, quand on a parlé de, nous avons discuté, nous avons fait un petit débat sur mortgage, sur stratégie qu'on est capable de gagner, leur payer mortgage, et pour qu'il y ait un intérêt qui est en faveur, et ensuite tout, si par exemple tu as besoin de refinancer mortgage, donc avant qu'on signe pour dire oui, donc make sure qu'on vérifie chiffre là, et si vous n'êtes pas confortable avec ce chiffre là, relez un agent Solstice, ou bien relez M. Ira Horn, et puis très bientôt, il parle bon numéro de téléphone. Et puis tout, il y a un programme tout côté capable de mettre dans une route, côté capable d'améliorer crédit. Okay, so we are back, and then now, Mr. Ira.
Yes, sir.
Now, can you give us some tips? Well, can you give our auditors, our listeners, some tips on how to continuously improve their credit score?
Of course.
Things that they should do.
So first and foremost, pay your bills on time.
But you know, that's a good point. I mean, I always tell my students, before they start dating someone, ask that person for a copy of the credit.
That's a good one, too.
Yeah, and they look at me as if I'm crazy. I said, oh, so would you date somebody with bad credit? They said, no. I said, no, therefore you need to ask for a copy of the credit.
You know, having seen hundreds, thousands of credit bureaus in my lifetime, I can tell you they sometimes tell a story.
Yeah.
It's sometimes not a completely correct story, but if you pay your bills on time, that's the first thing. Another strategy is to pay your credit lines down to 50% of the balance or less. That's always a good advice.
Okay, so we have a phone call. Let me see if I can bring him on. Give me 1 second. Hello? Oh. Hello? Hello?
Congratulations. Because you've made your payment on time, you're now eligible to receive a lower interest rate and a lower monthly payment.
Listen to that.
So please press 1 now to find out the terms and conditions of the offer.
Don't you love those robocalls?
So they listen to Solstice Realty.
That's perfect.
I can almost promise you, if you get a call like that, hang up and don't call them back.
Yes. And then also, I mean, making payments on time means, I mean, you can set up for electronic payments.
What making payments on time means to credit reporting agencies, people who receive that, is do not make your payments more than 30 days late. At 30 days, if they're reporting, they'll report you 30 days late, and that's called a derogatory on your credit, and it's a bad thing to have.
Exactly. Yes, and then also, what about budgeting?
Well, the rules of gold haven't...
I think we the caller is back again. Let me see what she's going to say. Hold on. Hello?
Hello?
Okay. Où ka baisse volume radio pour moi, s'il vous plaît?
Okay, what about now?
Okay, good. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Awesome. Now, what an awesome topic, especially about credit. And I would like to, can't wait to get the number from the guy that, what his name is again?
Mr. Ira.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and,
so
and I know about.
And then it is a he, just for your information.
I know the importance about credit, brother, because I remember the first truck I purchased was a Lincoln Navigator, and my credit score was 400, and I ended up paying $13,000 of interest.
Yep.
Because I was young and dumb because I wanted the truck that cost me $42,000. And then I worked up my credit up now to $750, so I know the power. And I know about those people out there, too, that, you know what I'm saying, they take a fixed credit and all that mess.
Yeah.
But they got some good people out there, and I found a company, and I was paying $100 a month, and it turned my $400 to a $750. As a matter of fact, now I open my own credit repair business so I can help people.
Uh-huh.
And I would like to talk to get that number too, your number, because I'm in the process of personal home. So I'm excited.
Okay.
Congratulations. I'm glad to hear that. And then, and I'm going to give you, Mr. Ira is going to give you his phone number.
The best way to reach me, for all of those out there, and maybe we can get Jacques to post this on his website. I'm not sure if he's able to do that. But I, as in Ira, I Horn, Horn, at Alterra.com, Alterra.com. That is my email address. You can call me on my phone at 904-309-2292. But it's always best to email. That way we can come to a time when we both have time to talk about your situation and how we may help each other.
All right.
I'm driving right now, and
okay.
email down.
Okay. Tell you what. You can. While you are driving. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to give you my cell phone. I don't know if you can take it.
If he doesn't mind, Jack, I think it will be easier for him to give his number, and then
Yes.
Yeah.
if
Well, he doesn't want to give that over the air.
Yeah, he probably don't want to give it on the air.
Yes. Maybe I should give him Michael's number.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
if he's driving, he may not be able to write. Jacques, will you'll be able to post my email address
On my website. Yes, of course.
So you don't get into an accident while you're driving. Jacques has the website for his radio program. We'll post my contact information there if you'd like.
Yeah. So you just you just go to solsticerealty.net. Say SOLSTECEREALTY.net. If you
He speak Creole. You give it in French now.
was that
you
it?
speak Creole, sir?
Yes, Malik, Creole.
Oh,
Yes, donc mon frère n'importe l'eau qui doit contacter nous ou bien numéro de téléphone Michael est très facile, c'est 254 93 74.
257 43 74.
Non, 254 93 74.
OK.
Donc c'est Michael. Yeah, 254 93 74. All right. So, merci un peu pour l'appel là.
Vous êtes à la recherche d'une maison, townhouse, duplex, condominium, appartement, quelle que soit la largeur, achat, location, vente, ou bâtir votre propre maison de rêve. Aux États-Unis, en Haïti, quel que soit l'endroit. Faites confiance aux agents de Sortis Realty de Jacques Guillaume. Prestigieusement installé au nord-est Florida, Sortis Realty de Jacques Guillaume, muni d'une caravane d'agents licenciés. Coût 3 professionnels dédiés à satisfaire les aspirations du décor même de la cuisine de votre famille. Également, une extérieur splendide préconçue de la maison qui rendra votre voisin jaloux. Vous comptez seulement acheter un terrain, louer votre maison, mettre un nouveau toit pour défier la saison cyclonique ou la rénovation du style et la technologie actuelle. Ils sont là à prendre soin de votre investissement ou les poser toutes vos questions pertinentes concernant l'immobilier. Prenez votre téléphone, composez le 904-886-3100 ou contactez le PDG lui-même, le sympathique Jacques Guillaume, au 904-386-1726 ou écoutez tous les samedis dorénavant sur le 1530 AM Radio Puissance Inter, l'Internet et Audio Now. L'émission Real Estate de 11h à midi, animée par Jacques Guillaume lui-même. Alors là, soyez un couple heureux, placé dans la maison de vos rêves.
All right, nous sommes de retour avec M. Ira Horn et Michael Paul. Donc, M. Ira a continué à une série de tips comment pour capable de crédit nous en bonne santé. So, Mr. Ira will continue giving us more tips on how to continue improving our credits.
Okay, I've got a very good tip on creating good credit. So a lot of people, if you're very young, if you haven't had credit, a lot of people will tell you to get a credit card where you put the money into it and then you use the credit card from your money. And that is a good way to establish credit. But I have a technique I think you'll really, really appreciate. If you don't have, most of us don't have a lot of money kicking around. Maybe you have access to a few $1,000s, a couple of $1,000s. If you were to take that money to a bank, your regular bank with depository relationships, and not all of them will do this. You may have to go to 2 or 3 to find the right institution. Make sure that they are a reporting institution. Sometimes credit unions are a very good company to work with, but they don't necessarily report credit. So you want to make sure that the credit is reported. Take your $3,000 an example. Say, I want to give you this $3,000 and take a loan against it for $3,000. And then you take the money from the loan and you put it back into your operating capital. So you're never without your money, but then you can pay this loan over 3 or 4 years, so you're never out of your money. What this does is this is not a revolving account. This is a bank account for a loan, and if you're establishing credit or reestablishing credit, it's a great technique to give you a new credit account, which is a very high, valuable credit account.
So it's like a secured line of...
It's a secured line of credit. That's correct, from a bank.
Yeah, and then also, I know we are running out of time. The time flies. And what are some other tips that you would advise?
So your older credit accounts are your most valuable. So if you're trying to pay off accounts and maybe keep a limited depth of credit, your newer accounts are your least valuable. Obviously, you want to pay off your highest interest rate accounts first. That goes without saying. Sometimes people will make accelerated payments on their auto loans or something. Well, if this is your most inexpensive money, you should pay off your most expensive money first. And what you said before about budgeting. This is one of the rules of gold that hasn't changed in thousands of years from ancient Babylon. You should pay yourself first. And what that means is, even if you don't make a lot of money, you should try to save 10% a month. I know it sounds like a daunting task, but we all need to do it, and few enough of us are doing it.
Now, there is one thing I've heard all the time. I have somebody, let's say, I'm working with a customer. Credit is not really good, in the 400, as you said, low 500. And the person went to a car dealership and then buy a new car saying, that will improve their credit score.
Well, so people oftentimes will say whatever it is to benefit themselves. The fact is that if you have a new credit line and it's reporting and you're paying it on time, I think that it certainly has the markings of something that can improve your credit. But what you were also describing could go to a buy here, pay here, and they don't report. So it wouldn't have any effect whatsoever if they're not reporting it to the credit repositories.
Okay. Oh, perfect. Donc, pour nous tout ce qui fait brancher, donc, nous avons M. Ira Horn avec nous, et puis nous avons causé sur, nous avons fait tirer les mains et venir sur comment capable, type qu'on capable gagner, les barreaux pour capable ranger crédit. Par exemple, il y a un point que le bon nous, c'est quand on est capable d'ouvrir ça nous une ligne de crédit qui sécure, c'est-à-dire seconde 2000 ou bon 3000 $, on doit à la banque, et pour faire banque là, ou bien on crédit union, il doit avoir une ligne de crédit qui est assurée par fonds ça qu'on mette dans la banque là. Et ensuite, tout l'idée que par exemple, si on a un crédit card qui a longtemps, donc au contraire, qu'un crédit card, ça va être c'est qui bail crédit où j'arrête. Plus crédit card là, il a plus longtemps, il est plus bon pour eux. Et ensuite, tout, pas ici, elle prend un nouveau dette, et puis toujours été sous budget. Parce que normalement, l'État important pour des cas essayer serrer un 10% de comme qu'on fait chaque mois parce que c'est important pour payer tout d'abord. Donc, on connaît le temps de faire la guerre. And I have to say thank you to Mr. Ira and then with his daughter for being here with us today. And then I know this is not going to be the last time that we'll hear from Mr. Ira. And so the Haitian community, and I'm going to present Mr. Ira to you. And he's your loan officer. So anything you need, anything that is impossible, or anything that seems to be impossible, call Mr. Ira first, and then let him take a stab at it. And
also, if it seems to be easy and right in line, I'm okay with that too.
Exactly. Hit him with the easiest ones also, and give him some, as we always say, give him some of the sour ones and some of the sweet ones.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And I'm going to give you his number. His email address is mabanunya en créole, I takuna indien, H takuna Henri, O takuna order, et puis R takuna Richard, N takuna Nancy, at go Alterra, A-L, et puis Terra, c'est takuna TERRA.com. Et puis, capable de contacter M. Ira dans le numéro de téléphone 904-309-2292, 904-309-2292. And I'm going to let Mr. Ira give you his final words so at least we can go ahead and conclude the program.
So my final words are, I wish you all the very best in terms of home ownership. It's the best way to build your own personal wealth we have in the United States. I am dedicated to helping people and to being responsive and getting people the very best they qualify for. And I look forward to helping many of you soon to live your home ownership dreams.
It is amazing that you said that. According to a Gallup poll by the Florida Realtors, 1 in 3 Americans say real estate is the best investment. And then for the past 2 consecutive years, real estate outperformed gold, stocks, CDs, and bonds.
That's correct.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And you don't have to buy the whole thing up front in cash. You put a little bit down, and then you get the benefit for the whole pie.
Okay.
So,
well, I know we can spend the whole day.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
And I will let Michael go ahead and introduce our. Oh, I need to put you on, Michael.
Ok, mesdames et messieurs, nous remercions M. Ira Horn d'être avec nous. Merci et essayez de prendre service. Qui t'aime dire nous brièvement, téléphone tout agent Sortis Realty, nous connaissons déjà. M. Cadet de lui, c'est 904-442-4760. Et M. Fertile, 699-6412. Et M. Thomas, 860-3913. Et M. Fanor, 681-05. M. Étienne, 405-2346. Et Ofni Neus, 554-32-95. Et bonne fin de journée, mesdames et messieurs.
Donc, pour nous tous qui t'attendent l'émission, ça, il est patronné par First Choice Insurance of America de M. Al Oxy dans 904-732-1818. Friendly Appliance Services, M. Stanley Louis dans 904-554-0630. Alterra Home Loans, M. Anthony Davis dans 404-936-5232. Et de Caribbean Corner Jacks, qui sont Atlantique et San Pablo dans 904-807-3833. Et de Dr. Plumbing dans 904-444-4614. Et de Allstate Insurance Company, Jolita Ray dans 904-309-5607. So, nous avons un dernier coup de fil sur l'Ina pour 1 minute seulement. Allô?
Allô, bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Mon salut panel là, mon salut en général, c'est Fertilis. D'absuivre tout ça qu'a dit depuis au commencement, même pas de participer. Dites que mon minute m'a pressé pour me garder un ça me pour me dire. C'est M. Jacques le spécial. Vraiment écho, grand frère.
OK.
Bablio.
Salutations.
Moi saluer où et côté que moi ça qu'a vanté à là, c'est moi qui veux pas cette activité bon côté pam, c'est côté nous gagné 3 cas qui me marié, me placer ça que me bien placé.
Tilis n'a pas oublié place là parce que là arrivé sur nous pour nous capable passer micro by l'autre monde qui entre. Donc merci un peu non.
Monsieur Jacques, c'est un plaisir me contenter de nommer c'est bonne journée.
OK. Et merci en même temps. Donc pour week-end prochain, nous allons parler de l'heure où on a vendre Kylie, comment pour préparer Kyla, pour préparer pour tout showing. Et faut que moi dire merci à DJ Woody et Silencieux qui t'a préparé theme song là avec Adlan. Et puis monsieur Johnson, monsieur Diego qui est technicien, et puis tout staff Radio Puissance Inter, et puis pour tout le monde qui t'a aimé entendre podcast ça dans longtemps qui convenait à ou même, ou qu'à aller sur www.solsticerealty.net et ensuite tout aller sur radiopuissanceinter.com pour nous faire une contribution parce que Radio Puissance Inter besoin de tout pour nous capable continuer de rester en vie. Donc merci à nous tous et passez bon week-end. Bye bye.
Ça fait longtemps non pas ouais comment bagaille.
Mon cher, nous là n'a frappé ça n'est fait.
Mon cher, m'a fait des marches pour nous capable venir habiter dans Floride très bientôt avec toute famille là. Est-ce que vous référez à une compagnie qui fait real estate pour aider dans le processus ça?
Bon, m'a bao Solstice Realty avec tout agent lié qui a bail bon service real estate en Haïti et en Floride. Ou ka toujours aller sur site yo qui c'est www.solsticerealty.net ou bien ka relé dans 904 886 3100.
Est-ce que son G majorité Semna, les teams qui ont caille dans Floride et puis tenant refusé payer. Est-ce que Solstice Realty fait pour appeler management?
Bien sûr mon vieux, n'a loué caille là, collecter loyer chaque mois à l'heure pour Marjorie.
Merci en pile cousin. Eh bien, si c'est comme ça, yo caille dem vendre caille moyen dans New York tout.
Pour caille Paula, n'a cherché un agent qui vous vient lister caille là pour venir mettre li à vendre pour sans être chargé. Juste faire nous connaître leur prêt.
Cousin, avant aller, maman me gen 3 caille Haïti actuellement. Yon déjà dans loyage et puis 2 l'autre yo vide. Est-ce que vous avez une compagnie qui a aidé en Haïti?
Bien sûr, nous avons service en Haïti tout. So allez sur www.solsticerealty.net et puis cliquez sur Haïti ou après tout argent que nous gagnons à Haïti et avec toute propriété que nous avons nous bien loué à Haïti.
Solstice Realty ça ou pas gagner ou pas faire même. Mais est-ce que monsieur ça va marier mon?
Non. Solstice pas marier mon. Solstice c'est placer nous placer mon dans caille.
Mesdames et messieurs, Solstice Realty de Jacques Guillaume.